Stiller fans. Welcome to Stiller Nation Midwest. Joining me, Big J, here, your podcast host. Uh, it's a big weekend, man, for football in Kansas City. It's a big week for Pittsburgh. It's a big week for a lot of teams. The easiest game I see on the AFC side, because I'm paying attention to the AFC right now, and we are going to talk about the NFC next week. Uh, but the AFC is what's on my mind. But first, I want to reach out to my sponsors and show appreciation and gratitude for them being my sponsor and let me run their ads and things of that nature, and help me grow my viewership and subscriptionship, and also help their business reach into the Midwest. With two of them being based in Los Angeles, and that's People of Color Beauty. It's uh, People of Color is a African American owned young lady owns them, uh, and she basically uh, came up with the idea, entrepreneur spirit, seen it through, and now she's doing great things, man. She has the California area saturated. She just received an award from Oprah and some magazine. I can't think of the name of it. I remember a couple of years ago when she first launched and she started making noise with her company. She was on Good Morning America. So look for her. She's on most of your social media networks. That's People of Color Beauty. And then you have Compass Timepieces. Is also a Los Angeles based African American owned high end watch company that was designed and created by him. Mechanisms are out of Switzerland. The best mechanism for watches between Italy and in Switzerland, but Switzerland is like usually the nod. That's the best watch. So the best pieces, I guess, to go in there and make the watch. There's a lot to learn about these watches, man. I mean, a lot of them look good, but a lot of them wear well and look good. And that's what you want. So you want, if you're spending $2,000-3,000 on a watch, man, you expect that thing to be with you forever and be able to pass that piece down. You know, it should keep it be a keepsake. And those type of things are gone now. So if you get a chance, go on YouTube, Compass Timepieces. He's on Instagram also, most of your social media networks, and his podcasts that I've listed on my Facebook page that tells about him. And then there's Young Blade Faze, Natural LLC. Tez the Dreadlock Barber, same person. Cuts out of Jazzy's Barbershop in Grandview, Missouri, in the back with the dreadlocks. He's a wonderful barber, man. He's a people person, sitting rap to you about sports, whatever. He has Retro Fitness, where he trains kids and with basketball with their shot and conditioning. Um, he's into the weight room, so he makes sure those kids are lifting the correct way and getting stronger and seeing results with their strength gains. And then I have a local DJ by the name of DJ Foots. That's his DJ name, and then his business page is on Facebook. DJ Foots business page. You can go in there and it has all his list of his contact information, and also his pricing list for events and things of that nature. And I know he's been out of town to do events with people from KC, so that's available too. That's something you'd have to work out with him though. But um, let's get to football. Thank you, sponsors. Let's get to football. So the Ravens have a big game against our Steelers coming up in their place. Okay, so basically we're known to take over stadiums. We're known to take over stadiums when we travel, man. That's what we do. We go and it's black and yellow. I don't care. But Baltimore is one of those games where they don't sell their tickets, and they're like Pittsburgh. It's purple. So we're going to be behind enemy lines. It's not going to be like a home game for us. And we've been doing well, but since 2019, we're like 8-7-1 against Baltimore. I think we lost earlier that year. The first game, beginning, we lost in Pittsburgh, and then we went to Baltimore and won, and we haven't lost to them since. So we got, for the last 8 games, we were 7-1 against Baltimore, home in Pittsburgh and down in their place. We've making their place home, and it's somewhat of what we'll get into. It's somewhat a defensive strategy that Pittsburgh has. I'm surprised. I've listened to a couple mainstream guys today, and they made a lot of sense, and we'll get into that. You know, when it talks about, because I've always wondered the same thing, why nobody else in the league has employed the defensive strategy that Tomlin and Terrell Austin have employed, Tomlin being the head coach of the Steelers, Terrell Austin being his DC, have employed to stop Lamar Jackson and any other running backs that they had, like when they had my man that's out there at Dobbins, and then the other guy, because Dobbins just got hurt. You know, they had the other guy, Edwards. He's out there. Not great backs, but they produce. They produce. You know, but we were able to bottle that up and do things. So we'll get into that. But the Ravens are 9-5, um, and that fits into the AFC picture. So basically, what we have here in the AFC, you have Kansas City. You have Kansas City. Go through this quick. They're number one right now. Looks like they have a 2-game lead on Buffalo, even though Buffalo owns the tiebreaker head to head. Chiefs are 13-1. Buffalo's 11-3. They play the Patriots tomorrow. So unless they sit everybody or some great magical upset takes place, I can't see the Bills losing, even if it's in New England. I don't see it. I don't think they're going to sit anybody either. They're going to play this string out, and maybe 2 weeks from now they'll start sitting people. We're at 10-4. We win tomorrow. We clinched the division. We've already clinched the playoff spot. The Steelers have clinched the playoff spot already. We're in. Okay, but we want to secure that seed. So we want to right now. I don't think it'd be hard for us. Kansas City would have to lose 3 straight games. Buffalo also, and we'd have to win out to even get a 3-way tie. And then it would come down to tiebreakers and point systems and things of that nature. That's when all that math gets involved to see who would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. But right now we're 3. That's the more realistic. Houston's 4, winning their division. So 4 division winners: Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston. Houston is not as, I don't think they're as scary as they were last year. So, you know, they had 5 losses for a reason. And then you got the Ravens. If they win tomorrow, they'll tie Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh still owns mathematical tiebreakers within the division, within the conference. So Pittsburgh would still be the winner. They would still, as long as Pittsburgh didn't lose to Kansas City and Cincinnati, Pittsburgh would still win the division. And the Buffalo, but if Pittsburgh was to fail, then Baltimore would jump them, and they would replace each other on the playoff standing list. And then you have the Chargers, who had a big time win last night against Denver Broncos. Both teams look very good. Pittsburgh's played both teams earlier in the year, and they're both teams of the Chargers. I knew were going to be good with Harbaugh as their coach. So every time he comes, anywhere he goes, he wins. When he was a player, he just was like that cardiac guy, that kid, that quarterback that was just going to will his team and try to get to the playoffs and win. Couldn't do it, but he definitely got to try a smart quarterback. He was an intelligent quarterback. Now he's an intelligent coach. He just won a national title prior at Michigan, which is hard to do in the Big Ten. And then before that, when he first started coaching, he was at Stanford. I think he was somewhere else prior to that. And he goes to Stanford, turns them around, makes a winner out of them. And then he takes the San Fran job, takes the San Francisco job. We see what he did with that with Kaepernick at quarterback. They go to the Super Bowl. They lose to the Ravens, his brother. So everywhere he goes, he kind of wins. And I kept telling people, the Chargers, you know, the people in the AFC West, Chargers, man. And then watching Broncos, I was in Denver and I watched the Broncos play. And yeah, we beat them 15-6 or something crazy like that. It was early in the year. Turns out that Denver is a really good defensive team. They almost knocked off Kansas City in Arrowhead earlier this season, the same week that Pittsburgh played Baltimore that game. It was the same day, same time slot. And Denver got all the way down to the 2-yard line or 1-yard line. Sean Payton was trying to run the clock out, and he was going to just kick the field goal for the win. And his kicker got this kick block. Somebody was on the line of scrimmage, didn't complete their assignment, and the kicker got blocked. And Kansas City got away with got out of here with a win. You know, but Denver's scary. Their defense is really for real. Sean Payton, he's a good coach. He's not talented on paper like the Chiefs are, but you could tell they're better. And as to what he wanted, you know, and then Chargers also, so they got to look out. And then you still have the Colts, the Dolphins, and Bengals. Everybody else, the Jets, Browns, and Jacksonville, Tennessee, New England and the Raiders they're already been mathematically eliminated. But so basically, number down to number 10. So the 10th seed through the 7th seed are still up for grabs when you think about it, depending on how Denver, I mean the 6th seed and the 7th seed, I'm sorry, are still up for grabs, depending on how the Chargers finish and how the Broncos finish. I think they both got to play Kansas City. It's going to be tough for them, so um, that is what it is. But let's So and so that tells you the AFC, and we'll get into the AFC later on. Not today, but another podcast soon before the playoffs even start. We'll look at their top 10 or 9 teams that actually have a realistic chance also. So, but basically, big time game this weekend, 2 in a row, man. And Tomlin has some crazy, really good winning percentage when he comes off a loss, and no matter if it's on the road or at home, he usually wins. Um, it's just I don't know. He just usually wins. He turns around, makes that quick. Very rarely will they lose a big game like this 2 weeks in a row. Philadelphia, then the Ravens. I can't see it happening. I can't. It could happen, but I don't see it happening. So, with that being said, the Ravens 9-5. They're averaging 29.9 points a game, third in the league. Points allowed, they're giving up 23. 22nd. Then you got total yards, 421. They're first in the NFL with that. Rushing yards, 178 total. They're second in the league. Passing yards, 34th, but you can't really go by that. Oh, wait. No, they're third. I'm sorry, 34th. There ain't even 34 teams. They're third in the NFL in passing yards. They're 245.6, and then they give up 339 yards, and that's seventh. No, then they lost to Pittsburgh 18-16. Boswell beat them with 6 field goals. We beat them 18-6 that day. Kept them from scoring 18-16. I'm sorry, 18-16. I was thinking of the Atlanta game, but we beat them 18-16. We beat them with 6 field goals, and we got out of there with a win. And Boswell's done that twice this season, where we've knocked the team off with just field goals. That's how good the defense is. But lately, so it's going to be different. One thing I can say with the Ravens, we know who we got to deal with. Zay Flowers on the outside, Andrews. Last time they had Minkah basically dealing with Andrews. So everybody's talking about Minkah. No, he's like on special assignments, man. He's like special ops for Tomlin and Terrell Austin. So so he's not going to be able to make a lot of splash plays because he's keyed in on a certain offensive player. They got him. He's not playing center field now, and then especially with DeShon Elliott, I'll get the injuries, not playing. That hurts us again too, because now he got to stay back. Because DeShon Elliott is just a different safety. It's different with him and Minkah back there, but with him not there, and I think he'll be fine. If it was a playoff game, I think he would play. But that groin soft tissue is supposed to be cold in Baltimore. And we talked about that on an earlier podcast a couple weeks ago. Soft tissue injuries, like with Pickens. When Pickens first got hurt, I knew they would hold him out. The weather, stiffness, tightness, chances of re-injuring are greater. So save him, man. Just save him. And I mean, yeah, we want to see him play because we want to go down there full strength. But it is what it is. So defensively, we got to deal with that. Lamar, he's that guy. 154.4 quarterback rating. His last game, he was 21 of 25. Derrick Henry was what? He had 200. Back to Lamar, 76 yards, 21 to 25. Last game, Derrick Henry, 67 yards last game. And they're just giving him just enough. Zay Flowers had 6 receptions, 58 yards. Uh, and tight end Andrews, 2 receptions, 24, 24-yard catch, and then 1 touchdown. So he had 24 yards total. And then you have Bates on the defensive side. Um, you have well, not on the offense. I'm sorry. He's the third receiver. 80 yards. He had a good game because they covered up Zay, and then Deontay Johnson. I don't know what's going on with him, man. He just waived him the other day. I don't know how that. I mean, he gets traded to Carolina, then he gets traded to Baltimore, and he didn't even last with them 3 weeks. He refused to go in a game. I don't know what's wrong with the guy, but it is what it is. So their receiving core, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's not that great. I mean, Bates did have a good game last week, uh, but it's coming. It's either going to be Andrews. They're trying to hit Andrews, and they're trying to get Zay Flowers involved. And then Bates is like that third guy. And then there's the running backs. Derrick Henry can catch off the backfield too. Screens, you got to be careful with him with that. And then you got the legs of your quarterback. So we'll see what somebody else. I'm pretty sure they got somebody else that we're not aware of, and that's going to probably play like Devontae Walker. He had 1 reception, 21 yards, but I think he'll be more since Dante Johnson is off the team now. I think these guys will probably play more, So, but there's a way to deal with that, and we're going to get to it. Okay, and then you got your running back. A backup wide receiver, another back, Justin Hill, who's not a bad player at all either. So they got some weapons, but they're not our receiving core. They don't have a great receiving core. If anything holds Baltimore back, that'll be it. They got the quarterback, they got the running game, they got a good defense, but their receivers, I think they're worse than us, to be honest. I mean, they just got Zay Flowers, but at least we got the other guys, Skoranek and some role players like that come in and do well. Pickens not hurt. We got Mike Williams. We got Calvin Austin. So we fine. They're defensively, Hamilton, of course, Malik Harrison, or Harris, I should say. No, it's Harrison. Ogunjobi, really good. Travis Jones, defensive nose tackle. So Zach, what's his name? Our center. He's going to have his hands full. This dude's pretty strong and good. He's a big guy. He's 300 and something pounds. And his main job is just to clog up the middle and let his linebackers like Roquan Smith and them run free. And that's his whole job. So Zach Frazier is going to have to really be on his P's and Q's. And if we got any doubles, we're going to have to get that guy out the way because he's trying to take up blocks. So we got to deal with him. Then you have personnel-wise, they like to go with 12 personnel, run back in 2 tights, Andrews and another guy, 11 personnel, 1 running back with the 2 tights. We'll go 1 back, 2 tight ends, and then, they got a different personnel. They really rarely go 13 like us, but they'll do it. 3 tight ends and 1 running back, they'll go back. And then you got to also remember, even though it's 3 tight ends and 1 running back, you still got that quarterback back there that can run. So there's actually 2 running backs, to be honest. But Pittsburgh does a dynamic thing offensively. Injury-wise, let me see. Let's see here. Aguilar is questionable with a concussion. Outside linebacker Oloki. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. Dante Johnson, they waived him, so he's no longer there. And Davis, cornerback, J. Armour Davis, I think I'm saying that correctly. Cornerback, he's questionable also. So they got some, and they got one of their tackles is questionable. Lee, yeah, that's his name. He's questionable. But then you got Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley's up and down, man. I mean, you hear people say great things about him. I remember when he came out of college, but we don't usually. Highsmith usually handles him. And then you got the other guy, Rosengartner, he's gonna have to deal with TJ. But if we keep moving TJ, it's gonna be hard for him to do that. He ain't gonna be able to settle in. And then you got Landenbaum. He went to Iowa. He played against Keno Benton in college. Keno and him had some battles when Keno was at Wisconsin playing nose, and this dude was the starting guard and center. I think he played some center, and he played a lot of guard. And he's pretty good. He's their center now, and so they have personnel, and their reason they're right there. Usually they're 9-5. That's not a bad record, but they lost some games at the beginning of the year. Kansas City, then the Raiders. It makes you wonder, like, man, they took a minute to get going, but they did have a new defense coordinator. Pease is back. Dean Pease is back, and he's a really good DC. He's a really good DC, and I don't know. He's doing some things differently with the same personnel, with minus Patrick Queen, who's now with us. But we're glad to have him because the guy that they drafted to take his place is not doing what he needs to do. He's out there, but he's not Patrick Queen. So let's go over injuries first for Pittsburgh. So this is what we got. We got Elliott. He's out. Pickens is out. TJ's questionable, but he's going to play. Ogunjobi's questionable. They said he's going to play. Dante Jackson questionable. He's going to play. Fields is out. So that means Kyle Anderson will be our backup quarterback. We'll just have two quarterbacks dressing. And then you have, I talked about their record since 2019. There's a lot at stake, So we talked about that as far as the clinching, the playoff berths and things of that nature. What happens if Baltimore wins, if Pittsburgh wins? Pittsburgh wins the division, it's over with. Pittsburgh just trying to play out the string, get to the playoffs, and not get anybody else injured. If not, they're gonna have to play so their seeds don't drop. They're not gonna drop out the playoffs, but their seed can lower. And like, do you really want to have to deal with Buffalo going to Buffalo first week? You don't want to have to do that. And do you want to go to Houston? No, I don't think you want to do that. You want them to come to Acrisure Stadium, so you got to win. But I get the injury stuff with Pickens and Elliott because we need them for the big pictures, and with the weather being like it is, from soft tissue injuries, that could be a bad thing. So we need to sit them. I wish they would play, but I get it. I understand it wholeheartedly why they're not playing, and I somewhat agree. So I get it. We just have to go without them. Matt Williamson, I like him, man, and him and Dale Holly have a nice podcast. A really nice podcast that comes on daily. It's the Afternoon Drive, Pittsburgh's Afternoon Drive. And we're talking about two mainstream guys. So they're in the locker room. They're on the sidelines. They have that press credential. They get to hear stuff that we don't hear. We wouldn't hear if they didn't hear it. They're held to certain things. They can't talk about certain stuff. They know that. They're allowed in the locker rooms, though. They have their phone out when you see the cameras at the guy. You see Matt Williamson or, they're in there. So they know what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he made a comment the other day. It's his quote. I'm not going to steal it, but he's right. I've never seen it this way. He said Pittsburgh plays a bowl constrictor type defense on Baltimore. DK of DK Sports also said the same thing. He didn't call it a bowl constrictor. He just wondered why more teams in the league have not employed this strategy against Lamar Jackson, because it obviously works. But the key is that the rushers, we have two elite pass rushers. So what they did the first game with the read option is they bottled up. They dealt with what's his name, the running back, Derrick Henry. So they dealt with him, and basically they basically bottled him up. Okay, so and if they got lucky, the running back Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson were in the same proximity of one another on handoffs and stuff like that, that they were able to just hold the backside down, right? And our defensive linemen, Cam and Bentu Ogunjobi or Martavius Adams, whoever's out there, Loudermilk, they just need to keep them up off the linebackers because Queen and them will clean it up. Landon Roberts, uh, the young guy, the rookie from North Carolina State, they'll clean that up, man. Uh, so that's one of them things. Ryan Wilson. So that's one of those things that that defense works. So they bowl constrict it. They constrict everything. They call it the bowl. Matt Williams called it the bowl constrictor effect. Basically, I'm quoting him. Don't get me if I'm off a word or two, but he called it a bowl constrictor, and they just bottled him in. They forced him in, and they depend on TJ, and whoever the other outside linebackers are, Highsmith and whatever, to keep the backside clean, so they can't get out the backside. So if Lamar tries to run, he might get a 6-7 round here, 6-7 yard run here, but he's not going to get you for 50, 60, or 100 unless he busts one, and they're not going to give him the ball 15, 20 times to run. They're desperate then, and do you want to get him hurt? So, so usually a couple plays a game where he's trying to take off. So just bottle him up, and it seems to be working. And like I agree with both of those, DK of DK Sports and Matt Williamson of the Afternoon Drive. Why are not more teams in the league employ this against? They're making everything so hard. Just look at Tomlin, what they're doing. It works. It obviously works. Because he's not doing anything. If you look at his stat line, it's crazy against Pittsburgh. Even the games that they're losing against Kansas City, he had a big game yardage-wise and everything like that. They just lost the game. But they're not balling him up, so they're taking chances. You got to, unless you just don't have the edge guys. If you don't have the guys that can contain him, and he's going to get around it, I get it. But no, so I thought those were basically good quotes for the defense and for our fan base on podcast to understand on how Pittsburgh looks at dealing with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson defensively. It's all in layers. So you got Minkah chasing Andrews. You got your corners. Dante's fast. He's really fast. Terrell Austin made the comment the other day to one of them guys, I want to say Chris Halleck, also of DK Sports, because they're in the locker rooms. Basically, it's the fastest defense he's ever coached. It was either him or DK. And they basically, I'm giving them their stuff. I didn't think of that. And he said that too, basically, it's one of those situations where you just got to bottle them up and don't let them do much. And so and we continue to do that, then we'll be fine. We'll be fine. It'll be hard for them to deal with us. You figure your back end, you got Andrews, you got the corners. He's fast. It's a fast defense. They're fast, like Alex said. They're really fast, and we'll be fine as long as that speed takes over. Minkah's fast. Dante Jackson's fast. Casey's fast. Our linebackers are fast. Patrick Queen's fast. They say Landon Roberts is not fast, but he's fast for a linebacker. He's fast. Ryan Wilson is fast. Highsmith, TJ, fast. Defense is fast. The slowest person, and he's still fast, is Joey Porter Jr. That's from what they're saying. He might be the slowest out of anybody in that defensive backfield. So we have the perfect defense to deal with Baltimore. So we need to get it done. So fans, understand that. As far as that goes, it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be easy. Everybody's thinking it's going to be. I'm looking at these average points, like the amount of points that Baltimore's averaging, how much they're giving up. I think it's going to be a traditional Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. I mean, I remember one time when Ben was still playing, it got up into where Pittsburgh had to come all the way back and almost won it. We got into the high 30s, 40s. And that's because it was gunslinging, because we had to get back in the game. And we did, and almost pulled it off. Pretty sure we didn't lose that. We didn't win that game. But I remember that because that was big. We said, oh, we got this. We're going to come back and beat these guys. But, so it's one of those situations where we got their number down there, and we just got to employ it. And defensively, that's our strategy. That's the stuff we need to do to take care of strategy-wise. Um, you know, and then you got to understand, uh, combine the two. You figure if you can get them two in close proximity, Derrick Henry and Lamar, like I said earlier, it's gonna be a wrap because it's too easy to deal with them. Can only go one way. Can either go left or right. Cam and was holding it down, so and Patrick Queen was cleaning it up. So what you gonna do? So you gotta go Zay or Andrews, and we already know we're gonna deal with them. So because Andrews is a really good tight end, so we got to pay him great attention. It seemed like he did more last game, but he only had 2 catches on Minka. He only had 2 catches. Minka kind of shut him down. But if we would have just employed our regular defense, he might have had a field day. Because Andrews is pretty good. He's a really good tight end. So I hope that answered a lot of questions. Uh, I hope that Pittsburgh takes care of their business on Saturday afternoon after the Chiefs game. By the way, we're having another watch party. Chiefs Houston comes on first. Doors will open at 11:30. Uh, $20 at the door, $20 by Cash App. Either or, all the food you can eat, all the non-alcoholic beverages that you want to enjoy partaking in. If you want alcoholic beverages, you're on your own. I don't drink. I'm not buying any alcohol, so you BYOB it if you want. That's not a problem. But you just gotta let's be responsible adults and don't do anything that's gonna get you put out of there or jeopardize yourself once you're on your way home. So you don't want to do that. So understand that. But yeah, that's tomorrow. And like I said, that'll be at 31 West 31st Street, Kansas City, Missouri. That's 31 West 31st Street, Kansas City, Missouri. That's the nonprofit village right next to the U-Haul place. There's a little bit of parking up front, and there's parking in the U-Haul place on the weekends because they gave us spots. So it's fine. Come on down. We're ready for this kickoff for the Chiefs Houston game. If you're watching this and you're a Chiefs fan, come on down, man. If you're just a football fan, come on down. I wish I can go ahead and stream the Ravens game, Pittsburgh Steelers Ravens game after their game, but I might not have the time, the constraints to do that. But so yeah, Pittsburgh, Steeler Nation Midwest, enjoyed your company today on this podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it, and I'll see you again after the game for a quick wrap up of the Steeler Ravens game. Win or lose, I'll be on here for like a good 5 to 6 minutes, just talking a little bit about it, and then as usual we'll do our. But the difference is on Monday, I'm doing a podcast for the Chiefs game, so I'm gonna do the wrap up and the post game for the Ravens game Sunday, and then I got to turn back around and do the Chiefs podcast on the 23rd on Monday. I'm doing the Chiefs Steeler podcast with some Chief fans via Zoom or Google Meet. They'll be on the screen with me, and we'll talk about strategy and things of that nature. I got 3 guests they're supposed to be on. Hopefully, all 3. They've said they'll be there, so that's fine. And we'll just talk it up, and you'll get some perspective on Chiefs and the Steelers on how that game should look and how it may turn out on Christmas Day. So thank you, Steeler Nation Midwest, for joining me, and continue. And I'll be on posting this to other social media sites. Thank you.